We're live, Mr. Wade. Are you, sir?
Thank you.
You're welcome.
I want to say good night to our Belizean, both at home and abroad, and to all those who view us and who will view us now and who will view us a little later on because of their location. I want to say pleasant good night and welcome to our Belizean Affairs show number 398.
All
398.
right.
Thank you. And as always, it's a pleasure to sit in your company, Mr. Leonard Brackett. It's a
The
pleasure,
the pleasure is
always.
mine too, sir. Pleasure is mine, Mr. Chairman.
And we should be joined by our Monday night chairman, Mr. Gregory Brackett. He's in the background, always trying to make it right. But here we always say, Leonard, let it, make it right. Let it make sense.
Yes, sir.
and and to those who appreciate us, thank you very much, um from the heart. And as always, Leonard, time is of an essence, and we make much of our the little time they give us. so
Yes, sir.
so Leonard, I ask you to lead us, and we will brace the program until the chairman shows up. And we ask you, Leonard, to lead us in a prayer, please. Thank you.
Yes, sir. I'll just lower my head. Divine loving Father, thou who art the creator of heaven and earth, and all that in them are, thou who art, O Lord, God and creator as well, into thy hands we commend ourselves, asking that thou would continue to be merciful unto us, that thou would continue to guide and protect and bless us, continue to give us wisdom, knowledge, understanding, endurance, courage, strength, and the fortitude with which to speak truth to power, if need be. Pray that thou mayest grace us with the words for tonight's program, that we may do a good program on behalf of our people and country of Belize, and that whatever we say and do may it accrue to the well-being and benefit of our country. Please bless our country of Belize, its people and leadership. Please bless this country of the United States, its people and leadership, and the rest of humanity, especially those people who are in harm's way, those who have need of food and clothes and shelter, those who are in earthquake areas, on storms, and all kind of pestilence on the face of this earth. Please continue to be merciful unto us all. Don't us our hearts, our desires, even our most secret thoughts. Please bless our children and grandchildren and great grandchildren, those of us who have. Please bless our parents, grandparents, all the rest of our friends and loved ones, wherever they are, as if they were each mentioned by name and number. For we ask these mercies in Jesus' name. Amen. Are you
Thank
back,
you.
Mr. Chairman?
Thank you, Leonard.
You're
Thank
welcome,
you
sir.
for that one prayer, sir. As always, the nation and the world needs prayer.
Amen.
Um, because, you know, everything we put it to the Almighty, because their location.
Oops. I'm
I
sorry,
would
Mr. Chairman.
say,
Just now, look, fix this stuff.
thank you.
Yeah, I'm sorry.
Still, still
Yeah,
on.
yeah. No. I got it now.
Thank you. Um,
You're welcome, sir.
no, first of all, Leonard, I also, through our medium, want to give thanks and praise to the Almighty for giving us this fortitude, and give us the will, and to be here, give us the strength to be here.
Amen.
And because only He and He alone, knows what tomorrows bring. So say tomorrow is promised to no one, Leonard. So
Sir,
you know give much thanks to the Almighty for this day. And on that note, I want to, I was sent a reading, and it's from Matthew chapter 15, 1 to 10. And it reads, Then Pharisees and scribes came to Jesus from Jerusalem and said, Why do your disciples break the tradition of the elders? For they do not wash their hands when they eat. He answered them, And why do you break the commandment of God for the sake of your tradition?
Mm-hmm.
For God commanded, Honor your father and your mother,
Mm-hmm.
and whoever reviles father or mother must surely die. But you say, if anyone tells his father or mother what you would have gained from me is given to God, he need not honor his father. So, for the sake of your tradition, you have made void the word of God. You hypocrites! Well, did Isaiah prophesy of you when he said, This people honor me with their lips, but their heart is far from me. In vain do they worship me, teaching as doctrines and commandment of man. And he called the people to him and said to them, Hear and understand. It is not what goes into your mouth that defiles a person, but what comes out of the mouth. This defiles a person.
Mm-hmm.
That's my reading, Leonard.
Yes, sir.
Um, you know, Leonard, there's always, trials and tribulations, and there is always some kind of injustice. Uh, in my humble opinion, Leonard, I think I am seeing the end of time. Right? It's coming. Nothing good is happening, Leonard. Nothing good. Right? To say that the people, not only in the nation of Belize but around the world, jump up and say for joy, and jump for righteousness and jump for justice. It's always about war, killing, pestilence, or some kind of injustice that leaders are
Perpetrating.
doing.
Mm-hmm.
I tend to say, like, why are these people put there? Why are leaders elected? Why do people elect their leaders? Like, isn't it not to do right by them,
Amen.
or honor their constitution, or make sure if they collect $10 from taxes that they put it where it should go?
Mm-hmm.
But no, it's not that, Leonard. It's not that. right? We see it plays out around the world and in the country of Belize, which I mostly, you know, advocate for and talked about is about my birth country, the way I see it. I I talk about the ills and the injustice that is done to our Belizean people. I talk about the fleecing, the fleecing of the country's resources, the fleecing. Um, and don't you think that it will have to come to an end at some point, that there will be nothing left for them to fleece? And what will the people do? I think about all these things because of how I see leaders, how I see the leaders that people have been electing over the many, 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 many years. Nothing good comes out of it in the end. So sad. We talk about, yeah, recently we've been, from since the announcement by Johnny Briseno what he want to do with BTL, we have been hammering it and state our position and publicly. And
Mhm.
I, Leonard, have said that from inception. I says that you know things could get done the right way if only the unions, right? The unions could come together and bring a government to its knees to do what is right by the nation, the hardworking people, and the country. But what they do, I've always said it. And for me, I see it plays out to every government that the people elect, the unions. Yes, they protest out there, but nothing strong behind it. They don't mean it and say they will do this. And when you look, they hurdle in a little corner with the leaders, whether it's a UDP government or a PUP government, and they come out laughing, right? And then they go dormant, because of promises. When you look, nothing comes out of that promise. So they subject the country again to another union march, a union grumble. So they hurdle. So why didn't they get it done in the first place? Do the right thing in the first place. So, as for me, I think that the unions are part of our problem. Because, you know, I say, why do you waste the time of the public servants, the teachers, the people who protest when you don't mean it? Don't mean it. Threaten, right? And then the government will come back to its same old crap. Same old, then they got to go and protest again all over. And you see some of them, and you listen to how some of them talk. I've always said, too, again, that there are PUP union leaders and UDP union leaders. So what would happen when the UDP in power and their union leaders are leaders? Do you think that they will defile their party? Hell no. They'll come to their people who pay them to go and advocate for them and do the right thing for them. They'll hurl them and, oh yes, this is what we'll do. And when they get hurling again in a little meeting, what happened? Same crap with the PUP unionists, right? Same crap when they are in power. That's how I see it. Or you could sue me, or you could do anything you want to do. But that's how I see it. They never have the guts to stand up and see this thing through to the end. Punto final, right?
Mm-hmm.
If I want to march for a razor pay, god damn it, that's what I want. Why you go initiate something and you don't mean it? That's bullcrap to me, right? I don't know how other people see it, but that's how I see it. You bring the damn government to its knees for raise a pay or to do, let them do what is right. Let it be meaningful. Leonard, anyway, I gonna pass it over to you. Because, as for me, Leonard, I am tired of seeing a repetitious cycle over and over and over. It's like a thing you're turning around and it will come back again to the same crap. Never have the balls to hold a government and bring them to their knees. They have the power to do it. The union has have a power to do it. They know how to do it. But again, they're all compromised. That's how I see it. Back to you, Leonard. I because this is still a burning issue, Leonard.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Um, I can recall not long ago, the teachers' union was, you know, having a little agitation because the government was playing hardball with them. And they promised them this, they promised them that. Then some of the other unions decided that they're going to back up the teachers then. And so the government got scared and decided, okay, well, you know what? I'll go through this and just make them an offer. We're not give them what they want, but we're give them something close enough so that we could make them an offer. And then we're paying them, not right away, but we're promise to pay them later on. So the teachers objected to that about the later on promise because they know based on experience that not always work. So then I came back now and tell them, okay, well, we're giving us some money up front. And then I think it was like in December. I thought they said that last December they was gonna see them through the rest of the payments and whatever it's not. Only for the teachers to get to find out that when the time came for them to receive the rest of the money and the raise in salary and things, that they start figuring out that part of the money that they had gotten before was a loan to them, which was, as far as the teachers were concerned, that wasn't the case. But that the way the financial secretary came out and said the reason why they were taking money out of some of their salaries because they had, based on the promise that was given before, it was a loan. It wasn't, the matter hadn't been settled. So they advanced them a little loan up front, they could take care of some of their business. And now when they collect back the money from the teachers, then they borrow. And the teachers then they say, well, that's not what we agreed to. So, they get the government have a way of playing games fast and loose with the public, and with the unions. And like you said, depending on who is in office at the time, some union leaders, they press harder compared to when somebody else might be in. Then they don't press as hard. The end result is that they get paid. And I don't know what's going to become of this present situation with them trying to hustle that $80 million out of us, because I keep repeating, it's not just that $80 million for smart, it's also center and the other thing. Then when they pull aside for a while, then we'll all bring it back in as part of the final, when they finish doing the acquisition. According to them, it's by acquiring all those things that they were supposed to get the advantage economically by being a big monopoly. And since they've gone to the PUC, and the PUC responsibility is to not allow the monopolism to prevail and to look after the interests of the public, then they're having a difficulty. But now they want to change even the PUC rules then to allow them to be able to, give us the booklets, They don't care about what's the final outcome other than the fact that they want that money in their hands. So they're going to go ahead. The prime minister is telling us, telling everybody, let's slow down on this discussion, public discussion. Let them guys do their thing behind the scene, and when they don't do their thing, then we can decide whether or not we're going to support it or not. They already heard from some of the public that they don't want it. But if you want to slow down now what the pressure is coming on him, he's going to slow that down by saying, okay, well, let's not talk about it. Just, tell cabinet to stop, members of cabinet to stop opposing it and stop talking about it, stop answering questions about it. That's what they roll. Everything they want to do in secret. And when it's done, it's done. And they don't want to hear about it anymore. Like the Budna scenario. As far as they're concerned, it's done. And they don't want to hear no more about it. Okay? In fact, they're in there to go and grab one of Budna other relative to compound the process. To show that nothing come out of Budna, nothing come out of this, and nothing come out of any other person when they want to grab. In fact, they went ahead and grabbed the other young man, what's his name? From the UDP for a few hours, just to inconvenience him not being able to be at the march with the plan. Then they want to turn around and say, well, the UDP behaved badly at the demonstration, so therefore they want to sanction them and they want to charge them for having violated their bond that they're supposed to post for the violation, for the demonstration. So all around and try to find means and ways to distract from the BTL scenario, and to distract from the Budna scenario, and to distract from any of the other onerous things that they're doing. They just want to do what they want to do, and everybody must be satisfied with what they do. Why? Because they have the power of governance. So I don't know how it's going to get resolved, but I'm sure that they're not going to stop until they get that money in their hands. Are you back, Mr. Chairman?
That's how I see that too, Leonard. We gotta constantly remind our Belizean people, who we are dealing with, who we are dealing with, right? And I know got a problem of constantly reminding our Belizean people because it affects me and family members
Mm-hmm.
and friends
Mm-hmm.
and the poor and less fortunate. I could remember, Leonard, you remember the port saga,
Yes, sir.
right?
Which one? Which one of
The
the
4.5 or $4.8 million that the judge awarded the stevedores, this
oh,
last, right?
and they whittled it down to 1 point something million, no? Chance.
Right.
But you know they do that
So
to Ashcroft.
there you go. I was gonna come to that,
Mr.
right?
Chairman,
But no,
carry on.
you that's it right there. The man Ashcroft could get anything out of the people's purse from the UDP when they are in the government and the People's United Party,
Multiple millions of
right?
dollars, not just a
Can't we
one
see
million
that?
dollar.
And I ask my people, both at home and abroad, is that okay?
No.
Is that okay for that man to do this to us, the poor
Oh,
people and the nation, every time?
no.
I last count on fingers, of the amount of time this man had taken this country for a ride, right? And this man has no problem doing it, no shame.
But the Prime Minister said Belizeans don't have talent, so maybe that's the reason why.
You know? So
Oh,
again,
man.
Leonard,
Crazy.
I bringing this up because for the non-fanatic, because you got PUP fanatic and UDP fanatic, that
Mm-hmm.
that the
Mm-hmm.
UDP they could do nothing wrong. And they when Faber run that vehicle in they however that vehicle get in, they will show that know him and he not got nothing for her, right? I just that's what the fanatics are saying, right? When the PUP when the guy down south run into the lamppost,
Lamppost.
right? And nothing, he not even right, and he come out like he just come out of a bar room, right? You know, I mean that's how I see that these people, you know. So forgive me, right? Because I don't bite my tongue and I ain't afraid, right, to say what I gotta say, right? What come out of these things? Nothing, right? And sadly, I've always said, Leonard, I don't give a hoot if it's a PUP money, Britannia money, Ricania money, Faber money, Deanborough money, Shine money. I don't give a hoot if it's that their money. But it's not. It's the taxpayers' dollars these people fiddling around with,
Mm-hmm.
right? Money that they could take, Leonard, and advance the healthcare situation in this country. And
Mm-hmm.
I know in call other things that they could be doing with this money. The healthcare situation in this country, Leonard, is so depressing, depressing, right? And no one seems to want to fix the problem, Leonard, right? They enjoy seeing the poor people going into these healthcare facilities and coming out sick, more sicker than they went in. They come out can't get medication, can't get no kind of specialty service, right? It's just they're just going there to look look in the face of a doctor. Because I not question their you know most Belizean people not question their certificate, right? They call themselves doctor. People sitting as doctor, right? Just to look in their face, and they come out with a prescription to go at a private location to get medication or get some other work done. So
Mm-hmm.
you know, and people are getting tired of that, Leonard. These are things that we talk about a lot, right? Look at the baby that these people had when just to get a simple, no good CT scan in at Carluch now. You see the baby they had and the lies they told the nation.
Mm-hmm.
Sad. Anyway, I want to welcome our chairman for tonight, Mr. Gregory Brackett. I will yield to you, sir. It's a pleasure to sit in your company. Again, we were just holding over for you, Mr. Chairman. So,
Thank you, gentlemen.
Good night,
I
Greg.
want to say
Night.
good night to both of you and good night to the people at home and abroad. Thanking all of you for tuning into this, the 398th edition of Belizean Affair.
thank you, sir.
Again tonight, gentlemen, it is always a pleasure sitting with you guys virtually. You are highly appreciated
Same here, Mr.
here
Chairman.
on
Same
Belizean
here.
Affairs. As we always do here on Belizean Affairs, we want it to make sense of what is happening
That's what
in
I always
our
ask you, Mr.
country.
Chairman. Let it make sense.
That is correct. So, gentlemen, I know your discussion, Mr. Wade, is about the broken down hospital system. I don't know why they keep constantly repeating about tertiary hospital and getting this money and buying this land and can't make a head start yet. But anyone who has been following politics and past and present government should know when you hear them say these things is political blunder because if they were interested to do these things, they could have started with buying simple ambulances, essential service, to help in that department.
Mm.
They could have been buying simple essential service again, fire truck that is needed. They could have started with both of those things right there. But instead they lie back and wait with their hands out to get them from abroad through donations. Gentlemen and people at home and abroad, I want to go to the first step tonight. We want it to make sense. And again, I want to point out, we will get to the bottom of tonight's show and see what is happening. The first step, gentlemen.
In late 2023, the BTL chairman, riding the high of a 34% increase in profits, beamed about the company's financial outturn.
I think BTL continues to perform better than expected. I mean, we have been meeting our targets. The board has challenged management on a 5-year plan, and management has been meeting those projected numbers, thankfully.
But just over 2 years later, he said the company is flatlining.
And we see revenues really flatlining. The population, I believe, is not exploding.
And whereas in 2023 he embraced competition as a boon to consumers,
What it has done, it has forced us to focus on being competitive, which is healthy, and we have focused on putting bundles together that are attractive for people. Our revenues have increased.
4 weeks ago he said that competition had hurt the industry and it was a detriment to consumers.
What has happened is that the industry has overcapitalized, has become inefficient as a result of that, really, because it's wasted resources. And who pays for all of this overcapitalization and this duplication of resources? It's the consumer.
And while the chairman sent mixed messages, so did the political bosses in House of Representatives on Friday.
The Prime Minister has instructed that there be a pause in discussions related to this matter.
And so it is then the minister felt it's only right now that put everything on hold. And I don't know all the details. Yeah, I think Minister Shabat to be the best person that you could answer you.
So who is making the call? Is it the Minister of Public Utilities or is it the Prime Minister? Well, we know for sure it's not the PUC. They are spoken for.
What has been happening is that I think that they put the cart ahead of the horse. The PUC needs to get involved. But basically is to be able for the Public Utilities Commission to put everything on a stop. Let's say, okay, guys, we legally should step in. We should have been the first one. You should have come to, and for us to be able to take a look at what is it that you're proposing. So that by itself is you're going to do that.
So there sits the Prime Minister, his family the seller, his board the buyer, and now he's also the voice of the regulator.
Now, gentlemen and people at home and abroad, interesting video here. Mr. Wade, I go to you first.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. And this is only me. I think that this motion that Johnny Brisenia brings up, which Dean Barrow had foreseen this when he was in power. But anyway, this motion actually started in 2023. And then they explore this already from long time, Mr. Chairman. That's how I feel. I could be wrong, right? And they come to if you listen to that guy, that Bacon guy, you listen to that guy. He don't know what the hell he want to say, right? That's again, he answered to Johnny Brisenia, and I would like to ask him, Mr. Lizaraga, how much money are you? Who's paying you? How much money are you getting per month? Right? I would just like to know that. It's only me that want to know who paying you and how much they're paying you on a monthly salary. Right? And you know, you see, let it make sense, that end tape there, Mr. Chairman, says it all, says it all. And we here on this program, I am, I give thanks and praise to the Almighty, for us three to be seeing these things way ahead I play out, right? Because we've been calling these things out, already, right? Where we see what happened. But now you see that then they come up out on their own mouth. And then they say the things where we said a long time, but you see, we don't know about it, We don't know about it. But we see through these crooks. We see through these mobsters. We see through these business technocrats, right? We see through them. We see exactly what they want to do again to our Belizean people. We see that years ago. It's coming now from their own mouth. Right? I say no more, Mr. Chairman. Back to you.
Thank you, Mr. Wade. I go to you, Mr. Brackett.
Thank you very much, Mr. Wade, for your eloquent, incisive commentary, sir. Right on target, on the mark. Thanks, Mr. Chairman, for the privilege to participate on the program with you tonight again. I'll say my 2 cents, like I said about the Belize, goes like this. First of all, it is my 2 cents, so therefore, I don't expect anybody else to take it out of their fabs or pocket and hand it into my hand. I already have it in my pocket, and therefore, I'm going to take it out now and contribute it to the debate. The Prime Minister is not only Prime Minister, he's Minister of Finance. He's the lead person in terms of government affairs when it comes to the House of Representatives. He's also the person that is tasked with the responsibility for the fiduciary affairs of the bodies such as BTL and others that are operating or should be operating on behalf of the public, who has them as board members and managers of those particular companies working on behalf of the public. It's public funds they're dealing with. And the Prime Minister is also leader of the PUP party, as well as leader of the Northern Caucus, as well as business partner with Mr. Ashcroft, until he turned over some of his shares to his brothers. So it didn't look as bad or smell as stink as it really is. That is that he is in cahoots with Mr. Ashcroft to facilitate Mr. Ashcroft and himself and his family to prey on the Belizean people. And at the same time, he uses his influence and connections with these people that he appoints to these statutory boards to pressure them. He canvasses them, tell them what he wants to have happen. They have discussions on the phone, as I said before, over and over, as to how is it and what is it that he wants to have happen. It cannot happen without him. They couldn't put that stuff on pause until he said so. Had he spoken up before and said, let's put it on pause, because he knew that the public hadn't been appraised of it? No. He spoke up now and put it on pause when the public is putting the pressure on him, and he realized that he was caught with his hand in the cookie jar. That's why he wants it all go on pause now, so that the reporters and other people are not asking the ministers them questions that are in cabinet and who's supposed to know what's going on, because they sit in cabinet and conspire among themselves and don't want the public to know what is it that they're discussing and who is saying what. They don't want the public to know who is the traitor among them. But the public still gets to find out bits and pieces, enough to the point where the people realize that he, the prime minister, does not have the majority in cabinet to continue pushing this deal, which is why now he's pretending like, oh, he's the one that's jumping ahead of the march or the parade and trying to slow it down by telling the ministers them, let's stop talk about it. Let those BTL board members continue their discussion with his brothers and the rest of his family and Mr. Ashcroft, and let them resolve among themselves what they want to do and how they want to do it. And then we, the government, will yield to them and do it on behalf of the public, because then, you know, if they can finalize their agreement, the board, they vote on those agreements, then we already heard the Minister of Public Utilities say they're going to go and change the rules with a new SI that facilitates the public utility being able to afford these people to cash in on us. They keep talking about how to get this deal consummated. They never speak to the point that the deal is about cashing in on us. Mr. Morrison. Mr. Morrison is in the background. Just a minute. Greg, could you help me out, Mr. Morrison, for me? Greg.
He's not there yet.
Oh, okay. Let me. He's calling me though. Take over the show. Continue forward, sir.
Mr. Chairman, I before you, can you give me a minute there, Mr. Chairman?
Go ahead, sir.
Yeah, Mr. Chairman, it makes me wonder. These 31 elected representatives, who they are responsible to, right? I mean, I don't. You have a couple of them who is listening to their constituency, but majority of them, they're not listening to their constituency, the people who elect them, right, to do right by them, not right by Ashcroft or Johnny Briseño, no, because it's not Johnny Briseño elected them, no, it's the people. And you listen to how these guys start, and that man, Mr. Chairman, the man Shabbat, that man is the Minister of Public Utilities, not private utilities, right?
Yes.
So the whole thing does not make sense, Mr. Chairman. For me, I see it's a one-sided thing where their loyalty is to the business part of it, right? Not the public part of it, the private part of it, not the public part of it, right? So, you watch them how they talk. They are not representing, the good of the public, not the good of the public. And that word, Mr. Chairman, public, private, public, they need to stop it, right? Because people are catching on to that word already. Public, private. You hear the man, Mr. Chairman, the Lizaraga guy. No, he don't have to answer to the public, right? He went telling when he want telling after he hold for him private meeting, and then he went tell the public when he want to tell them. Does not make any sense at all, Mr. Chairman. But anyway, that's what I wanted to remind the public, the Belizean public, that these people that they are putting in the house to advocate for them, right? I hope they are watching and see where their loyalty is at. Back to you, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you, Mr. Weir. I want to say that I have said it here on this program, regardless of how they try to go through hook, they will not get over the hurdle because regulations cannot trump the Parent Act. I have said it, I have specified, and I have showed how it cannot happen. And here we are, like Creole say, Bam City. You heard what the Minister of the Public Utility is saying? Everything is on pass. But he is the one who was supposed to go along with this regulation and do an effect. But as I say, these people always tell on themselves,
Always,
and it's
Mr. Chairman.
always catching up with them. And therefore, the Belizean people cannot trust them because what they are saying is untruthful. And I will prove it that it is untruthful. Good night to you, Mr. Morrison.
Good evening, gentlemen.
Welcome,
Yes,
welcome to
sir.
this 398th edition of Belizean Affairs, sir.
Thank you very much.
We,
Good
we
evening.
are having this discussion on the detailed saga. I had played a tape, but I want to go and play two tapes before I go to you, gentlemen, to show you the mistrust and why they are unable to get what they're trying to achieve done. Because it is unlawful if they go outside the National Assembly. And even if they go to the National Assembly, unless they do an amendment and they disregard the whole Telecommunication Act as it stands and come with a new one, that is the only time they will achieve their goal. And I can't see that happening because the former Prime Minister enshrined the act in the Constitution. So it is unremovable. But, gentlemen, let me go to the first case before I have this open discussion.
Mr. Chairman,
Yes,
Mr. Chairman, on the point that you just raised or discussed, sir, about the PUC Act, yes, it's enshrined, as you said correctly, by the previous government and the previous prime minister to protect the um, the
Telecommunication Act.
yes, but it was intended to protect the BTL basically as well as the DEL, the local. But I want to get to the point. Um, they cannot, as you said correctly again, without going to the House and amend the act itself, they cannot do what they're trying to do because the PUC has no powers or authority to contravene any aside that the minister would like to make and or to contravene the very act that they are mandated under and under which they are legally operating. So what they are trying to do, if they don't do as we have been specifying to them, they can end up doing something, but the something that they will end up doing is illegal, unlawful, and unconstitutional. And
and
they
that's
cannot
why, Mr.
allow the
Brackett, that is why I said
yes, sir.
openly
Yes, sir, I heard you.
that if they do that, anyone can go and seek judicial review. If you recall, I said that, and then the good liar, Mr. Denison, said the same thing. But to show you how these people are operating, I want you to hear how they're telling themselves between the Minister of Communication and the Prime Minister. Listen to this.
So the instruction is essentially for BTL and SpeedNet to halt any discussions they're having between each other.
Well, that discussion has already happened. What is happening now is I don't know all the details. Yeah, I think Minister Shabat would be the best person that you could answer you. But basically, is to be.
I want to stop it. I want to stop it right there so you, the people at home and abroad, can hear this. You heard whose name he called? The minister that is responsible for the telecommunication under POC. Now let's hear what he had to say.
Wait, Mr. Chairman, no go yet, no go yet, no go yet. The man they say he don't know nothing about this stuff. So then why is he opening his mouth and try to answer the question and then turn around and say, well, but you don't know, so you have to ask the other man. Shut your damn mouth up. So the thing where you say last, you should have said first.
But
Ask
to
the man,
point out,
because I don't
Mr.
know.
Brackett, to point out where they're telling themselves, let's go to the minister now and hear what he says.
Given the level of public interest and the importance of the telecommunications sector to our economy, it is important that this process proceeds carefully, transparently, and in accordance with the law. The Prime Minister has instructed that there be a pause in discussions related to this matter. This pause is intended to allow the parties involved to further engage the public in a genuine, open, and cordial way, and to ensure that the proper regulatory process is followed. Any proposed acquisition of this nature must first be reviewed by the Public Utilities Commission, which is the independent body mandated to regulate the telecommunications sector. The expectation is that a formal submission of the proposed acquisition will be made to the Public Utilities Commission if and when the boards of the Social Security Board and the Belize Telemedia Limited approve the acquisition, allowing the PUC to consult thoroughly, deliberate on the pros and cons, and make a determination based on evidence, law, and the public interest.
You heard what he said, gentlemen and people at home and abroad. The Prime Minister. But the Prime Minister is saying, so ask him.
You don't know nothing about it.
And then I want to further state, you heard what he's saying, and at the end he say, based on law, Mr. Minister, if you want to base it on law, sir, kindly take it to the National Assembly, which is the right way to do it. Mr. Morrison, I go to you, sir.
Yes, thank you very much, and good evening once again, gentlemen.
Good evening, sir.
Yes, sir.
I think Mr. Shabat has kind of outlined where we need to be with this acquisition in terms of how it needs to be registered per law, and Mr. Briceño keeps chipping at the edges of what is legal and what is required to bring this matter towards the any semblance of having proper and documentation to present it to the bodies of the government and to those the statutory body, which is the PUC, and also the Social Security Board, and have the Belize Telemedia Limited properly address it. We still are cutting around the edges, because what no one is saying is that we need to have a way of determining the valuation of this company. And we're not getting that information from anyone. Um, we understand that some valuation was made, but it's not presented in any discussion way that we can that the public can absorb it. And whatever was given to BTL, they seem to have just been holding on to that, and they're not saying anything as to how the valuation was reached and what the value of the assets are, and also what type of revenue is currently being is gotten from SpeedNet. So we're hoping that as we move forward with this, that the public will be entertained with this information. It is necessary for the public to come up and understand what they are purchasing, what they are buying,
Yep.
and so far we have not had that sort of clarity on what assets we're buying, what liability is being transferred. I understand at some point, I don't know if it has been taken care of and addressed, but that SpeedNet had owed a significant amount of taxes to the tax board, and so we need to kind of understand that, and we also need to understand what type of assets um, is part of this transfer. We know it would be, cellular towers and so, but are there also buildings that are part of this transfer? And then with the buildings, are they owned or are they being leased? And so that those are things that we're looking for, and that is necessary to kind of make sure that this deal is valued correctly.
They are operating under non-disclosure agreements, sir, because they don't want the public to know what was being done. And none of the board members can divulge any of that information. They can't speak to any of those issues. That's why the man was trying to claim initially, the devil man, Mr. Bacon, was trying to claim that they can't do or disclose that because it was private. That's why he brought up that issue about private issue, um, not apparently knowing that public owned 88% of the damn thing in the first place. Okay, and the majority share is supposed to be aware or know how to vote, but they're going to vote those shares according to how the prime minister is in, to serve the interests of the prime minister. And that's not the way it's supposed to operate.
Gentlemen, I want to say this. I want to put this question to the test. What two things? The first one, why is it that social security cannot go along with this deal? And two, why is it that the prime minister cannot take this to the house? I go to you first, Mr. Will.
First of all, Mr. Chairman, I like to say this, that I've always said that anything that comes out of Johnny Brisenian's mouth, I do not believe anything he says. And Mr. Morrison, I thank you for pointing out your concerns, right? And those are actually my concerns too. You know, um, to see how these people are just you know, presenting something without proper documentation. That's the word you proper documentation, right? Now, you're here now. The Shabbat guy there, Mr. Chairman, says about a draft proposal. They are waiting. Didn't for how I want to ask him how did they come up to with $80 million if there wasn't a proposal, right? Now again they're waiting on another a draft proposal now, so they can sit down and look at it and who is this guy think he's, but anyway, for me, all hogwash. And like you says, Mr. Chairman, I like that, you put them out there from their own mouth, right? And sadly, these suckers have no shame. They have no shame at all.
Mr. Wade, the questions I asked you was, why is it that Social Security could not go along with this deal? And why was it that the Prime Minister cannot take it to the House? But I want to say this based on what you were saying. Do you believe a proposal is not already there as we speak? I can guarantee you one is there.
But you listen what comes out of this man's mouth. They are waiting,
I want to say
right?
this. I
I mean,
want to say
we
this.
all have our own opinion and thing about these kleptocrats, right?
Mr. Wade, I'm not speaking about opinion. I'm speaking fact. A proposal is there as we speak. You
That's
know
what
what
Why
that
would he say that,
proposal is?
Mr. Chairman? Why would he say
that's what
he's
the board was
waiting?
going to vote on. The board was going to vote on that
My question
proposal.
is too, why is he say he's waiting on a draft proposal?
A
I mean, I can't.
proposal is
He's
there.
lying. He's
People at
lying.
home and abroad.
Oh
A
man.
proposal is there, you know. You know what it is? The Telecommunication Act. That's the proposal that is there that they cannot get rid of. They could draft, they could pencil, they can do everything they want.
Mr.
They
Chairman,
can't get rid of that unless they repel it. And the
Mr.
only
Chairman.
way to
Oh,
repel
sorry.
it is going to the House. Why they can't go to the House? They cannot go to the House because there is division within the party.
But Mr. Chairman, wasn't he speaking from the house today? I mean, I'm sorry, that clip wasn't he in the house speaking? He
You
was
know
in the
why
house.
there is division? He turn around and try to politicize it. When you go to the Northern Caucus, they don't have no power. They can't change the Telecommunication Act. You must go to the National Assembly.
Uh,
Go ahead, Mr.
Mr.
Brackett.
Chairman, what he was referring to when he was saying that they were waiting for a proposal is that they, remember he mentioned that BTL and Smart are supposed to be having a negotiation. That has already happened. We all know that. But he's lying to us then when he made that statement. But what they're trying to say now is that they're going to do what was supposed to have been done, the way it was supposed to have been done before. So now they are waiting for BTL and Smart to agree among themselves. The directors need to vote to agree that they are entertaining each other's proposals. And after they make that agreement, we will be up the creek because Mr. Ashcroft will sue the government if that matter doesn't go to its fulfillment. The bottom line
Like
is
he
that
does
they are
all the
trying to
time.
facilitate getting this stuff done, regardless of what kind of obstacles they come up against. So they're going to lie to us as they have been doing before and are currently doing until they get the matter done and over with. They're not worried now about what they were trying to do, that they got blocked off or got exposed and therefore got shamed into pulling back. That's history for them. We can entertain that and discuss that and continue,
Mr.
but
Brackett,
they're moving on, and they're moving on because they're blocking the ministers then from, especially the ones that are in disagreement with it, from talking to the media and from talking to anybody and giving their ideas and conclusions before they give it to cabinet in secret. That's what the prime minister is saying. They will stop discussing this matter, let those people negotiate their business through, and when they finish the negotiate, even if the public never wanted it to happen, they as the board members for the two companies will make the decision, and the minister of public utilities will work with the public utilities to facilitate these people's agreement coming into fruition because they have that authority. But that authority cannot be had by them if they're going to violate the very PUC Act that they're depending on. So the minister is proposing to make some changes, but he can't make those changes of his own. This is why I'm saying that I'm agreeing with 200%, Mr. Chairman, that they have to go to the House. And even when they get to the House, if they make anything that is bogus and try to pass it there in the House, it is still null and void. That's what the
That is
Constitution
correct. That
abide by the
is
rule.
correct. 100%, Mr.
They have to
Brackett.
abide by the rule.
You know why,
They don't want
people
to.
at home and abroad? There is only one supreme law of this
Yes,
land,
man.
the Constitution. And the only way to get by the Telecommunication Act
Change
is
it.
to repeal it, and they cannot do that. It is enshrined for competition, and I don't see them doing that. As far as Social Security Board goes, I want to say this. It is my belief, and I can almost guarantee it, that they will not get on board in this deal. You know why? They will open themselves for lawsuits. That is what they will do. You cannot take the people's money and put it into an affair as an acquisition that you know is illegal, because that is what they're asking them to do.
But besides that, Mr. Chairman, there are, I know the other panelists have to weigh in, but I just want to say this one thing. It seemed to me like the Social Security Board and the Social Security Organization is taking their fiduciary responsibility seriously, while the other guys are just, you know, placating this process to be consummated. That's what they are interested in. And Social Security has to, you know, well, you see Ms. Lady resign from the detailed representation on behalf of Social Security. If we didn't
And
have that happen, we would have been up the creek already.
we still would not be up no creek. It would still be unconstitutional, null and void. So you want to tell me, Mr. Brackett, and I know you're highly educated constitutionally, we were going to have two telecommunication acts? How is that possible? Like,
So
they're
the,
trying to let us
our,
believe.
our problem is not with the laws, that we don't have the laws to back us up, or the Constitution, or the process, procedures, and protocols. Most of these guys know everything that you and I and everybody else is talking about. We're dealing with scungers, scofflaws, people that will bend and
They,
push and haul, and and unless we are able to physically stop them, and the only physical way we can stop them is with the public being educated to the reality of what is it that's going on. But I'll yield for a while, because I need to for us to let
Thank you.
them come in. No,
Mr. Wade, I will come to you.
crazy,
Let
man,
me hear what Mr. Morrison have to say.
just crazy.
Go ahead, Mr. Morrison.
Okay. I believe, as you had indicated, Mr. Brackett, the Social Security Board, as Mr. Leonard Brackett indicated, is the only organization at this point that seems to be taking their fiduciary responsibility of protecting the resources of the people
I could
in
That
be
is
this.
wrong.
correct.
And I believe that they are viewing themselves as having true exposure and accountability if this deal was to go through and it doesn't produce the intended result. And it very likely will not, because for the most part it's a padded deal. It is a deal that's intended
Correct.
to
You are
provide
correct.
provide
100%, Mr. Morrison.
it is intended to provide a bailout for the Brisenia family, um, and the Ashcroft Alliance as it's currently constructed. I am not saying it is not necessarily an overall good deal in the end if they can bring about the constitutional measures that would allow them to change the non-compete requirement and create a monopoly once again. And I'm not against, particularly, I've said this a dozen times on this show, I'm not particularly against repealing that law, doing it constitutionally, and then um, make the acquisition of the SpeedNet companies. The only thing that puts me aside from it currently is the fact that we don't know exactly what the assets are worth and what we should be paying for it. And until we have the clear disclosure that tells us what those assets are, what we are paying for it, I remain outside the realm of accepting this deal.
The
Um,
non-disclosure agreement tells you what they were after from the very beginning, which is why they did it the way they were doing it until they got
so
caught.
so your
Problem.
comments is that why the prime minister cannot proceed with this deal as it is, and why he's trying to circumvent everything and to deal with it in a cabinet type of um,
Hush, hush.
condition, and try to say that cabinet has authority over this. The cabinet does not have the authority over this deal. This deal is this the dreams of how this contract is set up and what must be done and how it can be broken, and so that um, BTL can make this acquisition is solely rest in the House of Representatives. They first must make the changes within the laws, if they so desire, to make this deal um, legal and not unconstitutional.
Mr. Morrison,
The problem we have, that we are facing, and that we are seeing, is that these ministers are realizing, a good many of them, more than the four that have identified themselves so far, is that Johnny Briseño is going to walk off with a pocket full of money, and they're going to be exposed, because if this deal, if it doesn't go through and doesn't work, it's going to linger in Belize and this country, and the PUP is going to be blamed for it for generations. And all these ministers realize that if they are just being pushed over the hill and just,
political career, Mr. Morrison,
yes,
will
it,
end.
just succumb to this, to what the prime minister is asking for, this self enrichment and personal and family enrichment, that they are going to be forever cast with the shadows of this deal, and it's going to affect their electability and the way they are perceived in the eyes of the Belizean people for generations. So I think they are more than the four that has outlined themselves right now, are shedding more than an eye of concern on how this deal proceeds.
Part 10 of the Constitution
Thank you,
specifically
Mr.
addresses
Morrison.
Part 10 of the Constitution specifically addresses these issues that we're talking about tonight. I'm looking forward to Friday to verbalize some of that to the general public.
Thank you, Mr. Morrison. But I want to say this before I go to you, Mr. Weir. Even though, Mr. Morrison, you believe that if they repeal the act and they come with a new one and they expose everything that it might be good, I say no. You know why? It will still violate the Constitution, and I will tell you why. You are taking us, when they do that, back 5 years in technology. If you don't have competition, how can you move forward? Even with the Prime Minister and the top specifying that Starlink would work only in rural areas, the legal financial analysis is specifying live that in order to accomplish their goal, they must also take over the rural area. So that is telling me they have no intent to bring in Starlink.
They're lying.
Period.
They're lying.
Period. Mr. Wade,
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Well said there, Mr. Morrison. Um, I can't see for the hell of it, why these people are helping this way. You find out lately, you hear that the business sector, business bureau, they were on this bandwagon too. They were actually help frying the bacon,
But they're a
right?
non-entity. They're a non-entity.
Um, it seems that you know, not having competition, right? What does that tell you? Right? I will not get into that, and it's self-explanatory, right? Not have competition, you know, you lead on to a monopoly, right? Um, you know, the thing that bothers me is that this man, Johnny Bricena, had been down this road before. Look what he did with the port war that we had, right? Um, and many other deals, right? The Fortress deal, um, and other deals, right? That you know, um, the public was excluded, right? It's just a group of kleptocrats get together and they conspire and how they wanted to rob the public, right? And they got away with it. You see, they go in terms of making laws, uh, fiddle around with the Constitution. Then the judge tell them that you see that law, tell them the Barrow that you see this law that you put in here to cover your butt is null and void.
Mm-hmm.
These suckers here are using the same law that's supposed to be null and void, right?
Mm-hmm.
So, this is only me, only me seeing these things, right? When I say that,
That's the kind of people we're dealing with.
right? So you call me whatever you want to call me, but I see these people as a bunch of criminals, right? Based on the things that they had done
Mm-hmm.
and got away with it, right? Other people see them as God, as they kiss their feet and all that stuff, right? Well, for me, I don't see them that way, right? So, Mr. Chairman, all said and done that what is enshrined in our Constitution, but based on the history of these crooks, right? I beg to differ, and only the end will tell. Um, 3 weeks ago, I have said that the bacon is burning on one side, burning, right,
The
and
smoke.
it's not looking nice, right. Now we are seeing the end result of what I had said, right.
Mm-hmm.
So, Mr. Chairman, like I say, these people will continue to do the things that they are systematically had done and systematically doing to the Belizean people until a new entity comes and hold all these kleptocrats into account, right? And hold them accountable for the things that they had done to the Belizean people and the nation. Back to you. That's what I got to say on that.
thank you, Mr. Wade.
Nice summation, Mr. Wade.
I go to you, Mr. Brackett. 3 minutes.
Thank you, sir. As regards to the issue of BTL acquiring assets, even though BTL is already claiming that they have redundancy, their words, not mine, and you have competitions that you're going to have to deal with in the near future, because I don't think a couple of years from now is long-term future. I consider that to be near future. Like right on the bend, right on the corner. Okay? So when the next 2 years come about and we are still paying for the acquisition of Smart, because we would be about halfway down that deal.
They say 4 point
And
something years, Leonard,
yeah,
just to
four
put,
and a
yeah.
half,
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
approximately 4.5. It might end up to be more likely 5, okay? Because things happen in life and modification and changes and things happen. But they don't mind if then they get the extra what call interest. Okay? The people where they try cashing their money out right now, they're not people who really need their money to live off of today. So long as that interest higher than what they could get just in a regular bank, they don't mind let that money stay there and then they get it later rather than quicker or earlier. We talk about so-called business people, but I know we talk about malignant business people. Okay, so going back to my point, these individuals that are trying to hijack us are onerous people who have no good intentions towards us. They don't care a hoot what happens after they collect their money and they move on. Whatever we, the Belizean people, wake up and find out is the circumstance rather than what they predicted actually turned out to be. Whatever it turns out to be after the fact, it's going to be our baby. We're going to have to deal with it. We're going to have to solve it, or we're going to end up like what the man said. The prime minister said it, and the um, the chairman of the board for BTL said it, that we are on a trajectory that BTL will flatline and will die. They are flatlining and dying and about to die, so they want to dump off on we, and we want to take and carry on with BTL until we flatline and die too, while they were paid out. Who's going to come to our rescue? Are they going to come again and buy us out back, Mr. Ashcroft, and buy us out back for pennies on the dollar? Because he wouldn't mind doing that. He have the resource to be able to do that, but he will buy it for less than what he bought, what he sold it for the last time round, and then he can control it again until somebody come up and say, "Well, let's buy it back for now again," and we continue the cycle. At every turn, the man to get hundreds of millions of dollars out of us. Why? Because we dare to allow ourselves to be suckered. Because right now, it's not that people don't know what's going on or the possibility. People are hoping against the odds that what these jackals are telling us would turn out to be the truth. If what they're telling us is the truth currently, they would be more than happy to want to keep their business and run it, be profitable, take all the profit that they could make with it. Okay, let's talk numbers, man. Let's talk numbers.
3 minutes, Mr. Brackett.
Yeah. I'll make it down to 1 minute. In numbers terms, Smart could be valued. Let's say, for example, a realistic valuation would be somewhere between $30 and $35 million. Okay, let's get them the benefit of the doubt and get them that as a real realistic value. 30 to 35. Let's keep the higher number, 35. They have a valuation of $35 million, and the volume of work that they do is probably about $15-20 million a year. When you kick in the government contracts them, well, maybe a little bit more. Okay? But at the end of the day, their profit for the year does not exceed $2 million. So if they run their business for the next 4 years, gaining $2 million per year, that will give them a net profit of $8 million over the next 4 years. $10 million if you go to 5 years. So why are we going to cash them out $80 million up front for some of their assets that is basically just old steel that, as of right now, then steel towers what they have in the field, they need to be scraped and maintained or revitalized, because the salt water and the Belize atmosphere corrode those things rapidly. But I'm talking about numbers. Why the devils do we want to put up $80 million to buy something like that, when we could take that $80 million and invest it in modernizing or upgrading BTL, or do something that will allow BTL to to actually end up with with more profit and better assets at the end of the day on the long term, and be in a position then to maybe sell off to them again or to anybody else, because at least we are not too far away from current, you know, equipment quality and things like that. We don't need to burden ourselves. Is our
Thank,
problem.
thank you, Mr. Brackett. I want to say this to you, the people at home and abroad, and gentlemen sitting with me virtually. As someone who knows about telecommunication and networking, etc., if I was to put $80 million right now in Starlink, in 5 years, I would worth more than what retail is worth. I will tell you why. I don't have to put up no towers. I don't have to run no line. All I need to do is issue the receivers around the league.
And get and acquire the telephone which somebody else going to sponsor. You don't need to put out no money.
As simple as that.
Simple as that. Yeah.
Because what is happening here,
People are just jerking us
and
off.
we cannot make it make sense, and what they are not saying, in order to accomplish this goal that they want, they have to take over all rural areas. And it's not coming from my mouth, it's coming from the financial analysis. And I will let the people at home and abroad hear what he has to say.
But Mr. Chairman, the rural areas is not profitable alone for any one business to come in and take over and try and make a business of it. They
But
need some of the
Mr.
other
Brackett,
massive part of the population to back them up
it's
or
a
on the scale.
monopoly, and the only way to achieve their goal is to take over everywhere. Listen to it, not from me.
Structure. Tell us about the goal of reaching those 43 communities and how are they being left out at the moment?
So the economic returns to go and build infrastructure in these very remote areas is a long payback. Companies look at their financial returns and see where it's viable commercially to actually build infrastructure. Telecoms is expensive to roll out network infrastructure, and it doesn't make commercial sense. This transaction enables us to redeploy those assets that Smart has, and also BTL, to enable us to roll those networks sites out to those areas at a much reduced cost, which increases the payback. We're estimating that 18,000 people, when we roll out this new infrastructure, will gain access to telecom services that don't have it today.
There you, as I said it. And you know why they don't have access? Because there's no tower there. Put the $80 million in Starlink and start issuing out these people the receivers. And in 4 years, 5 years, you will be making money. Let CNET do the same for competition. I go to you, Mr. Morrison. 3 minutes.
Thank you again. Well, you know, as we look at everything that's going on, we see that the government is facing an edge. We're seeing that resistance is rising up against the acquisition. We have the people that are showing up in great numbers with determination, and this is presenting tremendous resistance to the government desire to move this forward at the pace they had previously envisioned. Um, the grouping includes the unions, the social partners, and the opposition. And
Chamber
in
of Commerce too, sir.
yeah, that's why social partners. Yeah.
Okay, sorry.
And in doing that, it is frustrating the effort of the government to push this in one direction and to have it covered. And you know, I'm not too sure we can classify this as the government, although it will have the shrouding of the government. It's more the position of the leader of our government, Mr. Briseno, or Prime Minister, that is pushing this deal. He at times throw his hands up and say, it is not my deal, it is my brother's deal. Talk to Jaime. But we know that he's the one that's settling it. We know that he has orchestrated and put in place the mechanics that are moving the parts that are facilitating this deal. First, with the chairman of the board of BTL, then trying to play the people at the Social Security Board, and then trying to move elements of the cabinet, and also trying to get the Northern Caucus to come out in these areas. And so we need to make sure that we hold them accountable. And the way that is done is by having these resistance movement, these individuals that is challenging every step, every movement of moving forward, by frustrating it, by calling into questions the positions, by calling for accountability, that they will not be able to move without being accountable to the people. So I am very happy and glad to see that the parts and the resistance movement that is being orchestrated is fulfilling its role, because ultimately how this succeeds is that you make each effort that the government makes, or the prime minister makes, in moving this forward, and the chairman of BTL, because to me he has failed. The chairman of BTL has failed his fiduciary responsibility
He
of
needs to
being
be fired.
accountable to that board. And yes, he probably should be removed from there, because he has not provide the accountability and the clarity as to why this deal um, is in the benefit of the shareholders. We have not heard much from the small shareholders partners that are part of the BTL board, and we hope that they will speak up. We we hope that they will, that they, and as I said, they're so locked in because they all come from the appointment of the
Non-disclosure
prime
agreement,
minister,
sir.
and they all come from
Non-disclosure.
the appointment in their position as from the prime minister. So we need to make sure that in the future that these boards, both the PUC, um, the small shareholders partnership, the Social Security Board, and the board of BTL, has more transparency and more independence of how these appointments are made in the future, because we're seeing just the way this gathering is working against the best interests of the people of Belize and the best interests of BTL.
Thank you, Mr. Morrison. Mr. Weir, 3 minutes, sir.
thank you, Mr. Chairman. You know, I would like to see this deal goes null and void, and what I would like to see happen is that these guys quit doing what they're doing, right? In terms of constantly, you know, stiffing the Belizean taxpayers. Um, and I see that happening. And lastly, Mr. Chairman, that guy, Johnny Briseno, says, Starlink would only operate in the rural area. Well, I have news for him. See, he already put in Starlink on notice. I had worked for DirecTV in the 90s for 4 years in the Los Angeles area, and they work. Their business is satellite. They have like 4 satellites up there. By now, they must be put up like maybe 3 more, owned by DirecTV, right? But what I'm saying is that yes, they he gave them that. Oh yeah, you got to go in the rural area. No, that doesn't work like that. They need to have these places need to be electrified. They need to have electricity in these rural areas. So when he says about rural area, he got to be careful what he means when he says rural area, because Starlink is not going to go and set up no receivers or no dish or no kind of communication in rural area that is not being electrified, right? So he better be careful what he's talking about. And Mr. Chairman, like I say, I welcome competition, right? I love to see competition, right, instead of a monopoly. And I just hope, lastly, Mr. Chairman, I just hope and pray that the Belizean people, open their eyes and see these people for who they are, right, and the things that they are doing, and denounce them, right? That's what I got to say on that.
Thank you, Mr. Wade. Gentlemen.
Mr. Chairman, it's not just only Starlink. Of course, we have been referring to Starlink on our show regularly, but you have Blue Horizons and you have quite a few other overseas and other foreign entities, that are, they could all be
That is
part
correct,
of.
Mr. Brackett.
Sir?
I want to say this to you, the people at home and abroad. We have come to the end of our show, but I must say this. I want to remind you that the Public Utility Commission gets its power from the Parent Act, which is the Telecommunication Act. And what power does they have? Only to regulate competition. So when you hear these gentlemen speaking about the Public Utilities Commission should have stepped in, they are telling you phony baloney, because they have no right getting in any acquisition. If a foreign entity or another buyer wanted to buy smart CNET, then they can okay for competition. But when it comes to BTL, it's a no-no. And not to just hear it from me, I want to end with this good gentleman telling you at home and abroad again how it works.
My point I'm making is that the PUC does not belong in this thing any at all. The PUC can, in fact, authorize the sale of SpeedNet to someone else, but not to BTL. Nothing in this act says that the PUC is to encourage an operator, especially a dominant operator, eliminating its competition. So, like I say, it's only to alleviate certain concerns that people have raised with regards to BTL taking advantage of its position. They're saying, well, we will pass laws that BTL cannot increase its rates without our approval. That is what they're doing. But it has nothing to do with the acquisition.
So with or without the acquisition, they could still do that?
They can still do that once there's a dominant. You can do it all over the country. Because, like I said, there are a lot of small operators that they're the only one providing service in certain areas. So they are sole providers or dominant provider in those areas. Will the PUC then go and set rates for them? I don't know that this is what the PUC wants to get into, but it seems to me that this is just a move to alleviate concerns about BTL as a monopoly. But in my opinion, it is totally unrelated to this acquisition. PUC, but if they're to implement what the law says, they have no business in approving the purchase of SpeedNet by BTL. If SpeedNet wants to sell to someone else, PUC by law can approve that. But PUC should not get involved with BTL trying to acquire SpeedNet.
All right, and so what are they doing by showing that they want to suddenly designate BTL ahead of the proposed merger?
It says to me that they're trying to facilitate the merger, which is they're acting contrary to the charge that the law puts on them. They're abdicating their responsibility under the law, basically.
And so what is your opinion of the individuals that are part of the PUC? You know, they're appointed by the Prime Minister.
I won't make any assessment of an individual on the PUC. That is for someone else to decide. I'm telling you, as a collective body, the PUC, not pointing to any one individual, your job under this act is to regulate the sector, implement the policy of government, promote fair competition, that sort of thing. You are not doing what the law says you should be doing by facilitating an acquisition of SpeedNet by BTL.
There you go, people at home and abroad. As I said, Mr. Wade, I go to you for the closing, sir.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. It's always a pleasure to sit in your company, and Mr. Morrison. So thank you for bracing us here tonight with your your input on the program for tonight. Leonard, it's always a pleasure to sit in your company, and thanks to those who tune in and will watch us a little later. And thanks to all those who support our Belizean Affairs shows. Thank you very much. May God continue to guide and protect you. And look forward for another edition of our show on Wednesday, which I invite you, Mr. Morrison, right here on this.
399, Mr. Wade.
399, yeah, 399. I'm looking forward, and thank you, Mr. Chairman, for such a educational and well put together program for tonight. Mr. Chairman, thank you very much.
Thank you, gentlemen, for being a part of our virtual tonight. I want to say again, you are highly appreciated. It makes it easier when we have open discussion so our people at home and abroad can understand and see the different ways in which we present ourselves. And I want to say good night to you, the people.
Once again, Mr. Morrison and Mr. Wade. Thanks, Greg. Nice program, sir.
Agamana mugabu mage kongure